Is Hunter Biden running for president?
This mother, the way that he talks about my dad, him. And again, sorry for my language.
It's okay.
But he is obsessed. And I tell you the reason why he's obsessed. Because unlike anyone else, my dad kicked his ass like a rented mule and beat him by 7.5 million votes.
Kamala and Gavin better watch out. We got a real one. The last time a Biden was this angry, he wrapped a chain around Corn Pop's neck. Democrats haven't seen this much fight since Nancy ripped up Trump's State of the Union. Hunter's mad Trump dozed USAID. And now he says he's on the warpath for the children.
What they did is they went in and they flipped the switch. And because they flipped that switch, 14 million people are going to die. 4 million of them are going to be children.
Yeah.
That's a genocide.
Democrats needed a brawler like that for the shutdown. Instead, Schumer surrendered like a Palestinian. The risk is Hunter is like Icarus. He flies too close to the sun. Delaware might bench him like Jimmy Kimmel.
I don't know why Charlie Kirk was shot, but I do know this. It's only served one group of people, Charlie Kirk's death. MAGA. They have taken this, they have wrapped themselves in it, they have righteous indignation.
Yikes. We're reminded why Hunter doesn't belong in polite society. He's never been house trained. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's like Crockett on crack.
We need to turn the temperature up, and we need people to see for it for what it is. And what I mean by that is this, is that I do not believe that we are going to get to the bottom until we get to the bottom. And when I say that we need to turn the temperature up, I am absolutely 100% not saying that it needs to be violence.
Did you think the Bidens were just going to ride off into the sunset and let their father's legacy be Kamala and the coup? Wilmington sees an opening. Chuck helped push Joe out, and now Joe's sending his son out to dance on his grave. Barack still thinks he's pulling the strings, but after the Clooney column, the Bidens want the cross-legged Messiah crucified. The big guy in Barry, not on speaking terms. The Cafe Milano snub was the snub heard round the Beltway.
I happened to be there, and you know who else was there was Barack Obama, who was also having dinner at Cafe Milano, but they didn't cross paths.
They didn't interact at all. They were in the same restaurant. What's their relationship like? That's weird that they didn't.
Really bad. Really bad.
Really?
Yeah. Biden and the people around him very much blame Barack Obama for the effort to push Biden out of the campaign.
After the coup, Joe was calling everyone in D.C., but when Barack called, he got sent to voicemail.
I was astounded to hear that one person he did not call was Barack Obama, the person that really made it possible for him to be president by making him vice president. He didn't call him then. Obama did call, I learned, to talk to Biden. He didn't take the call. And the two of them did not speak for weeks.
The whole party's like a bunch of teenage girls that got caught sleeping with each other's boyfriends. Mayor Pete's prickly after Mamala called him too gay.
She said that you both agreed that the country wasn't ready for a gay vice president. So the question for you is the country ready for a gay president?
Look, I wouldn't have run for president in 2020 if I didn't think so.
But go to what she said. Is that a fair analysis of your position?
No.
Okay. Why did she say that?
I don't know.
You don't know why she said that?
No.
Mayor Pete's like, I'm not a DEI hire. That's Harris. By the way, speaking of catfights, where's Tampon?
I'd spent some time in China. I taught in China. You might have heard that last fall. God forbid your vice president would know China and could speak a little Chinese.
Timmy honeymooned in China, a surveillance state. Everything Timmy did or didn't do that night, the Chi-Coms have it on tape. And where's Gavin? Where else? The rainforest. What's in the backpack, Gav? The only other grown man I've seen with a backpack was Hunter. What are they stashing in those backpacks? And why is that jungle guide touching Newsom's hand? Did he put him under a spell? Was this a healing ceremony? Did Gavin take ayahuasca? Good thing Gavin's out of the country because the Democrats' crossfire is crazy. The squad wants Schumer gonzo, and they're saying it's urgent. Their little Epstein play backfired, and they walked right into a trap. Now Trump's directing Bondi to investigate Epstein's relationship with Democrats, and the Southern District of New York is on the case. That means Clinton, Larry Summers, Michael Wolff, all of them, and all of the others, could be the subject of a new underage sex trafficking investigation. Epstein was even caught coaching a Democrat congresswoman during a congressional hearing with Michael Cohen. And Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers are accusing prison guards of leaking emails to Jamie Raskin. Again, they said the walls were closing in on Trump, and he just turned the tables. Democrats are now under investigation for everything they've accused Trump of: mortgage fraud, Epstein, Russia. Schumer blew the shutdown, uncorked Epstein as a distraction, and it boomeranged. And now top Democrats are lawyering up and telling their wives, I was on the plane, but I never went to the island. After Kamala blew $2 billion in donor money, the donors are looking at Chuck Schumer and saying, are you dumb? It's gotten so bad, New York money has no other choice but to back AOC. One donor says this, we've got to get rid of him. She's the future. He's the past. When it comes to having a finger on the pulse of New York, she's the new Chuck. Other senators see the writing on the wall, and they're lining up to kiss the ring of the new king. That's right, burn dog.
It's not a coincidence that the only person that can draw 50,000 people to a rally is Bernie Sanders, and it's something that we should pay attention to. As a party, I think our path forward runs through being a bigger tent party.
But Bernie's not king yet. There's a queen still waiting in the wings.
Keep fighting for my girls, okay?
Yeah, I promise.
Okay.
We
Thank
will
you.
Together, right?
Yes.
We're doing
Never
it
give
together.
up.
No, never.
Never
no,
give up.
no, we're too strong.
Kamala's on a collision course with Gavin. Her and Biden's Justice Department turned prosecutors loose on Gavin's right-hand woman. Does she have something on the governor? Will she flip? Who knows? But the base wants fresh blood, and Kamala's old news.
We have not done a good job. We've had Democratic control for too long. It's, I think, disproportionately, when you are in power for a long time, you become lazy in how we do it. We need to do better. We would never run a company the way we run our state.
You know who's running the country like a company? Trump. And he's got one priority, the American shareholder. 47 just announced 4 new trade deals with Argentina, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Ecuador. Make that 5. This just in, Switzerland. Coffee and fruit prices are about to come down, so get up early and enjoy your miracle mornings. Target says they're dropping prices before the holidays to help cut the cost of your Thanksgiving dinner. And TSA workers are getting bonuses for sticking it out through the Schumer shutdown.
So today we are announcing that we are going to be handing out bonus checks of $10,000 to TSOs, to agents who work for TSA who served with exemplary service.
It's amazing. Federal workers are getting buyouts and bonuses instead of kickbacks and NDAs. Remember, we're doing it for the children.
That's for you.
Well, you must know what your name is.
My name is Donald.
The president's hard at work, but he's taking some time to stop and smell the roses. For once, a politician's thinking about your future instead of their own future. The best part about this country is we control our own destiny. The administration has its work cut out for it before the midterms, and so do we. But if it all goes well, we'll have something to look forward to.
I don't want the Democrats to screw that up. So we're going to win the midterms. We're going to do everything that we can to win the midterms. And then after that, I'm going to sit down with the President of the United States and talk to him about it.
2028. Vance versus Biden. Not the big guy, the little guy.
This Friday night in the D.C. swamp with Democrats, they are at the end of what can only be described as a no good, very bad, you might want to call it horrible week. The Schumer shutdown was a huge embarrassment for the entire party. 42 long days, the longest shutdown in history. Democratic leaders got nothing, and now the party's increasingly rabid base, well, they are on a political warpath. Now, this may be hard to believe, but the socialist base now seems to hate members of their own party, as AOC calls them, the old guard, more than President Trump. I know, sounds impossible. In fact, the Democratic Party's thought leader, AOC, the squad leader, is now suddenly very complimentary of MAGA. Take a look.
I fully welcome Trump voters into our coalition. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but just hear me out. I cannot tell you, it just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you how many times someone has pulled me aside and said either I was once a big Trump voter and a Trump supporter, and I watched Fox News every day, but then I started to kind of expand my world and where I got information, and now I've learned, and now I've changed, and I'm with you, and I learn from you.
I'd like to meet these people. I'd like to have a discussion with AOC. Do they suddenly want borders to be wide open? Do they want higher taxes? Do they want defund, dismantle, no bail laws, reimagine the police with social workers? And by the way, there are now growing calls for AOC to launch a primary bid against Chucky Schumer in the Senate. And if she does, I can promise you she will win. Chuck Schumer's days are over. He's toast. He's persona non grata inside the Democratic Party. But I'm not sure if I'm quite fooled by AOC's kind words. To Trump voters, I'm a bit skeptical. Put me in that camp. Now, Trump's loyal MAGA base is still very much hated by pretty much everyone in the Democratic Party. Don't kid yourself. They look down at Trump supporters. Remember, irredeemable deplorables, garbage people. They try to dehumanize them over and over again. So we're going to get an invitation now after how many years of being called racist, fascist, Nazi, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini? Okay, I'm willing to listen. Here is Democratic rising star Jasmine Crockett, one of our favorite congresspeople. Take a look.
Okay, a lot of the MAGA women receive gender-affirming care, such as lip fillers, breast augmentation, etc. Why do you think they are so against gender-affirming care for trans people?
You know you want to say it.
Okay, so I have this thing where, like, you know a MAGA woman when you see one.
1000%.
They all have a look, right? But they, like, they lips be up to, anyway, that's a whole other issue. But yeah, they don't even know. Because when that was brought up on the House floor, because there was a discussion about this on the House floor, they were like, how dare you say we use, and it's like, no, that's exactly what y'all do. Y'all just didn't realize that that's what it is. But okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know a MAGA woman when you see one, unless they're wearing a MAGA hat. I'd like more detail on that. And by the way, Crockett is supposed to be a rock star in the Democratic Party. Take a look at your screen. Now, there are liberals who worship and kiss the ground that she walks on. Democrats believe she could beat Ted Cruz in a statewide Senate race, or maybe even Jasmine Crockett 2028. Okay, maybe to me, sad, delusional state of the Democratic Party, but it gets worse. If you think Jasmine Crockett, AOC, maybe are a little out of touch, just wait until you meet the new crop of communists getting nominated and elected, and it's not just Mamdani, it's happening all over the country. By now, we are very well acquainted with our friend Zoran, Marxist Kami Mamdani. But breaking this week, another devout socialist just knocked off a Democratic incumbent to be the next mayor of Seattle. 43-year-old professional activist Katie Wilson is still, by the way, according to reports, receiving financial support from mommy and daddy. But now she's about to take over one of the biggest cities and the biggest budgets in the entire country. And in one of her first acts as mayor-elect, she said she was joined in a protest where she eagerly called on her fellow socialists to boycott one of the city's most successful businesses. You might have heard of it, Starbucks. I don't know. If I was the mayor of a city and Starbucks was one of the biggest businesses in my city, I don't know, is it really a good idea to run Starbucks out of Seattle? But socialists are world famous for bad ideas, driven by envy, spite, redistribution of wealth. They deplore success outside of their own circle. Their policies, we know, we've gone over this in detail. They are destructive by design. And their time in office is always marked by increased suffering, more poverty, chaos, disorder, crime, and a loss of freedom. Unfortunately, the old guard of the Democratic Party, they are too scared. They're scared to death to ever stand up to this radical base. In fact, look at this. According to Axios, top Democratic governors are now teaming up. Even Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, the guy they claim is supposed to be a moderate, busy, these days having pleasant chats with the anti-Semitic Marxist who will soon run New York City. And meanwhile, the two men who once supposedly led the Democratic Party, they are now fading into oblivion. No one really seems to care about what Barack Obama has to say anymore. Joe Biden can barely speak. And according to reports, Joe and Obama, well, they pretty much hate each other and don't talk anymore. Take a look.
He went out to dinner with former Senator Mark Pryor at Cafe Milano, sat right there in the dining room, right there in the dining room in front of everybody. I happened to be there. And you know who else was there was Barack Obama, who was also having dinner at Cafe Milano, but they didn't cross paths.
They didn't interact at all. They were in the same restaurant. What's their relationship like? That's weird that they didn't.
Really bad. Really bad.
Really?
Yeah. It's the Biden and the people around him very much blame Barack Obama for the effort to push Biden out of the campaign.
Now, the Democratic Party is in shambles after 8 years of Obama, then 4 years under President Autopen, operated by former Obama staffers. Democrats have little to show for all this. The so-called Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, well, that caused health care premiums to rise a whopping 200 to 300% more than before Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act that needs subsidies because it's not affordable at all. Also, inflation exploded under Biden. Supply chains crumbled under Biden. New wars breaking out all over the world under Biden. The Democratic Party has become a toxic brand all across the country. Some begging former First Lady Michelle Obama to come in, step in, and save the party. That is not going to happen. According to Michelle, Americans are just too immature for her liking. Take a look.
As we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. We got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
Okay, very nice. But who's to say, right? I don't believe her. In reality, it's Michelle's fellow Democrats that lack the emotional maturity to actually bring the country together or even be in the same room as a Republican. Let me give you one example. Here's a very belligerent Katie Couric, but she claimed to be a journalist in her day, didn't she? Almost demanding that Senator John Fetterman condemn the late Charlie Kirk and his, quote, extreme views. She asks over and over again and again. Take a look.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though. I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. I think that's the conversation that happened. People condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language, suggesting that these kinds of words lead to violence.
Now, what Kirk fails to realize, her views are far more extreme than either Fetterman or Kirk. Really going that hard, attacking a 31-year-old man assassinated, a husband, father of two, really? But from, the safety of her New York City bubble, she lacks any and all self-awareness. Few Democrats now actually possess self-awareness, in part because they won't even socialize with a Republican, much less count them as a friend. Look at this new NBC poll. More than a third of Democrats don't have a single friend who is right of center, not one. And so with each passing month, the Democratic Party becomes more and more extreme. No one on the left even seems to notice.
I know the feeling. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guests. For a guy who sells razors, he's surprisingly dull. Comedian and founder of Western Razor, David Angelo. Careful, that's hot, is what he tells diners while pointing at his ass. Chef and restaurant owner Andrew Gruel. She avoids Thanksgiving because her relatives mistake her arms for the wishbone. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Kat Tipp. And to him, big and tall shops are just shops. Former NWA world champion, host of Planet Tyrus podcast, Tyrus. All right, before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them, so if they suck, we'll place Joe Mackey in a box, mark it fragile, and check it with Spirit Air. Kristi Noem boasted about the new Operation Dirtbag, where Homeland Security caught 150 illegal immigrant sex offenders. This is not to be confused with an earlier Operation Dirtbag when President Biden tried to find a whore for Hunter. This week in New York City, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree arrived, although it spent its first night in the emergency room after getting molested on the D train. A man set a world record for snapping the most cucumbers in 30 seconds with his bare hands. But another man protested the record, saying it's not fair that he used his hands. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So good.
Wow.
So good. Newly released documents show Jeffrey Epstein ended his friendship with Bill Clinton because he thought the former president was a liar. Especially the time he said, "My wife will never murder you." Oh, here we go. An Idaho man set another world record by using a cone to catch a scoop of ice cream from a distance of 55 feet and 5 inches. This skill will come in handy if you're within 55 feet of Jerry Nadler after he had Taco Bell.
Knew that was coming.
Ew. Joy Behar was absent from back-to-back episodes of The View after injuring her foot. But don't worry, she's fine now after an emergency visit to her blacksmith. A new report says Sydney Sweeney and Zendaya are in a bitter feud over their opposing political views. You know, you hate to see these two fight, unless it's in a kiddie pool full of Jell-O. In California, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is revoking 17,000 driver's licenses that were given to dangerous foreign drivers, some of whom were not Asian. A Pennsylvania man said he was shot after his dog jumped on a shotgun he had placed on his bed. After hearing this story, one woman went out and got a dog. These are good. These are all hits. James Carville says former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre needs to shut the F up about her race and sexual identity. Well, it's easy for him to say. We all can't change color by blending into a tree. An Indiana man has been arrested for shooting 2 dogs with a bow and arrow while supposedly hunting deer. But it might be due to his poor eyesight, since he also claimed Taylor Swift is a 10. According to new data, no illegal immigrants were released into the U.S. in the past 6 months. Wow, no wonder I haven't seen anyone in the ocean wearing jeans. Thank you. That is a good one. 67% of Americans agree there's no shame in asking for financial help, which is why on the way to work, I always give my spare change to the homeless. Thank you. And finally, an experimental serum could reverse baldness within 20 days. Unfortunately, it's only in rats. That is not AI generated. All right, isn't it convenient that after the Democrat shutdown implodes, what do you hear from the press? Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. They ignored it until they were desperate, like Don Lemon eyeing a fat biker at a bar at closing time. And leaving out all the details that proves he's innocent. Instead, they tried to tie Trump to the infamous mass pedophile like they were partners in a 3-legged race. Still, media lemmings fell in line, calling them bombshells when they were nothing more than burps from a gassy hummingbird. Of course, we've been here before, and we knew this breathless frenzy would collapse like a Russian robot. But you know it's bad when even CNN has to call Crockett out on their shenanigans.
Republicans are saying that that victim is Virginia Giuffre. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that, and can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims.
Right, and she's a lawyer. I bet her clients asked for the death penalty just to get her to stop talking. This latest Epstein dump, and I emphasize dump, was just inflated gossip based on hilariously interpreted emails. Still, Trump supporters had to once again endure the gauntlet of the fallacious firing squad. In fact, the story was so weak that Dems did deliberately redact a supposed victim's name, Gueffrey, whatever it is, who publicly testified that Trump was innocent. But they always withhold important details, much like how I withheld farts on a first date. But it backfired. What we learned, it always does. But we learned really is that Michael Wolff, a Trump smear merchant, was trying to work with Epstein on a blackmail scheme. The New York Times tipped off Epstein on a hit piece, and a lot of rich guys like to talk to Epstein. And also that apparently Trump, based on suspicion, banned Epstein from his club, which makes him look pretty good, and the media looking phonier than the Rolexes I gifted my writing staff. The funniest part, when the Dems lauded an email with Epstein expressing his hatred for Trump, as if that was a point scored against Trump. Sorry, you douchebags, that just made Epstein one of you guys. What's next? You're going to brag that Dems lead Republicans by 50 points among pedophiles? These same idiots also ran with the claim that Epstein spent Thanksgiving with Trump while Trump was president. Amazing how at the time that revelation went unnoticed and unreported by the media who hates Trump. And that's because it never happened. The media and the Dems had to delete that so-called bombshell like it was a skirt in Rachel Maddow's dressing room. I never know what works with you people. Now, don't get me wrong. The Epstein saga is very real. There were victims galore, but these assholes never cared about them. This story meant nothing to them unless they could make it about Trump. Because for Democrats, other people's suffering is just a political tool for gaining power. But sadly, their selected leaks had a rebound effect, vindicating and not implicating Trump. But this latest exercise reveals how unsalvageable the media is. They truly may be the most discredited industry in history. They make the tobacco industry look like the Red Cross. They're corrupt, lying, and ultimately harmful to your health. But only if you keep buying what they're selling. David, what's with the hat?
Oh, this new hat at westernrazor.com?
Yes.
That emphasizes that we're American made?
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't really work with what you're wearing.
Well, that's the beauty of what I'm wearing. Nothing works with it.
Yes. Anyway, you have been following the Epstein scandal for decades. You were one of the first.
Right, ever since I was a flight attendant on Lolita Express.
Yes. What do you make of how all these people who didn't say a damn word during the Biden administration are now up in arms?
Well, yeah, it's like, how do they explain that? I mean, you could have released it all when you were controlling the government. You didn't.
Yeah.
So now it's like either you were protecting Trump for the last 4 years, or now you're suddenly you're a little insincere about wanting it now. But, you know, I always feel bad whenever we talk about Epstein, I always feel bad for the elites, because Epstein had like a whole private island for them.
Yeah.
You know, now they got to do their orgies in the function room at Embassy Suites. It's not the same. You know, the front desk guy keeps coming in. He's like, hey, the printer's not working. Is Bill Gates in here still? Bill, can you come help? Can you link the printer, Bill?
So true. They're the real victims, I guess.
It's true.
Yes. All right, Andrew. Have you been following this latest? Like, they got so breathless. Everybody in the media, bombshell, bombshell. And I'm going like, I am not going to invest any emotion into this for a few hours. Wait a few hours, and it all falls apart.
I'm so over the Epstein stuff. I mean, it's on another level. I started following it for a while, then I stopped following it. It's like Real World Road Rules or whatever that show was, right? You can always pick up at any time and figure out what salacious line you want to go with. But Jeffrey Epstein to the media, it's really become like the oysters of the media complex. Not because the oysters are still alive like him, but because of the fact that they use the Epstein stuff as bait to get people in the door to buy things like drinks. In this case, it's gossip and salacious story and, most importantly, lies, right? That's what it comes down to. And that's where they make their money. Just like on alcohol, they make their money on drinks. So two things there. One, Epstein was an oyster. Two, he's still alive.
Yeah.
And three, the media needs to start slinging drinks. And also, the next thing we're going to figure out here, right? Like, what's the next story in this timeline? I think it's that story Stormy Daniels is actually Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh.
Yeah. Either that or she ate Jeffrey Epstein.
Kat, what do you make of this whole thing the last couple of days? Happens after the shutdown ends.
Well, you know, I want to see more. I'm not over the Epstein stuff. We disagree there. I wanted to see everything when Biden was president. I still want to see everything now. I think more is better. I want to see every single thing. I think it should be a bipartisan thing where what's really important to me is there were victims, right? I know it's not funny, but it's true. And I just don't know why would I give a shit? I'm not in it. So, like, let's see it, you know? I'm not in. I know they say it's always better to be invited.
Yeah. Yes.
Not always.
Yes, that's true. Tyrus, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
New book with a foreword.
Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
A foreword.
$20.
The foreword is written none other by Donald Trump.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Nice.
He actually, and just so you know, the Epstein is not hurting my bottom line at all. He texted this morning out of the blue, like all the stuff's going on, and he's like, "Hey, don't forget to get your book," because I was out, you know, with my teeth stuff. It's a book that talks about our experiences while we were calling this election. When I called it so early, and we were getting for that, and traveling around, and I intermixed some stories of meeting people across the country and talking about, because everyone's like, how did you know the election was so one-sided? Because I talk to real people. And I also talk about being black helped me figure out that it was a landslide election also. Because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but us blacks, we can find each other anywhere. Any crowd, any situation. Thank you. And every time I watched Kamala give a speech, I was always doing the same thing. Nope, didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I never thought, and there was never, ever a catchphrase from her campaign. You spend $1 billion and you don't get a catchphrase? Like, no one ever ran up to you and be like, you about to be unburdened by what has been. It was never that. There was no unburdened stuff. There was no unburdened bumper sticker. So we talk about that. It gets a little serious. I also dedicated 2 chapters to re-educate the world on who Hitler actually was. And I put the murder stats up, Trump versus Hitler, and it was a complete blowout.
Yes. We got to move on. What's your take on this Epstein stuff?
The Epstein, with Kat, I think the victims should have their day, but it's utter. The amounts of levels of made up to take him down. If they had a real Epstein file, you think they would have been like, no, if we expose it, we'll lose Bill Clinton. They wouldn't have gave a about Bill. They would have burned down everyone to kill the Orange Dragon.
Yeah.
So we know it's nothing about him. What it's about is the people who write the checks for them. That's why they're so, it's Trump. They want Trump. That's why they lie. They continue to lie. If they had anything on this guy, we would have seen it 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like, if you look at just the emails I've seen, he is adored by the global elites. Epstein, the only one who didn't adore him and that he hated was Trump.
They all hate Trump.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Trump knows who they are.
Yeah.
All of them.
There you go. All right, be sure and get Tyrus's new book. Up next, Katie hates on Kirk. I got to pee so bad.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.